Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022, and I am at the end of a long journey figuring out how to get Linux containers running on Windows 11. Windows containers with the LXD system, not Docker, so that they're like full Linux virtual machines, but much more efficient, and running under the Windows subsystem for Linux. So first you get Linux running, then you get the Linux containers running, and this is the trick. So in previous videos, I've shown you how to use Windows PowerShell in order to run the magical command WSL space -- install. After you do that, in a few minutes, your machine will reboot. It'll prompt you to give it a username for a Linux account, and then you'll have Ubuntu 20.04 Linux on your machine, and you'll be able to pull it up through Linux terminal. However, I have learned that at the time of the recording of these videos, the tricks to get LXD running work best under Ubuntu 18.04. So I had previously typed Ubuntu, right-clicked it, and selected uninstall. And it finished uninstalling that. It just pulled off the Ubuntu that WSL install puts on the machine. It seems counterproductive, but it's really not, because you can just pop into the Microsoft Store. You can search on Ubuntu again. And this time, we are going to look at our options and bring up 18.04 LTS, which stands for Long-Term Service Release. We're going to click that. We're going to get that. Won't take too long. And it's really not that much older than 20.04. And I've had a lot of success with this on my Windows 10 machine, so I felt it was time to do this demo here on Windows 11 and walk you through the process of getting LXD under the Windows subsystem for Linux running, LXD being the Linux containers. So we can now open that now that it's downloaded. So it wasn't that long to get it. Close the Windows Store. Don't need that anymore. Installing. This may take a few minutes. All right, and here we are being prompted for a new username. I will use Darfy again. I use foo for the password. And we're now Darfy at Oz once again, but if we do LSB underscore release, well, you can probably see it up here. It probably says it. No, does it? I don't know. But LSB release space -- all. And you can see that we're now on Ubuntu 18.04. First thing you do in such situations is sudo apt update. And this is going to pull down an updated copy of the software repository. All the things you can apt install. It's getting the latest copy of the database. And you can see there's 49 that can be upgraded. So we're going to follow its advice here. We're not going to list it. We're just going to upgrade it. So it's sudo apt upgrade. And that will upgrade all 49 packages. It'll take a moment, but it's really not that long. And then I'm going to just walk through the magic incantations I've learned to get the LXD stuff running. So already, this is an instance of Linux on Windows. You can see that. This is a full screen terminal. You might get it with tabs, right? This is actually running for people who are just tuning in, and this looks like such magic for. If I hit function F11, it'll pull up the tabs. And you can see we're actually in a Windows terminal. This program is Windows Terminal, and we have an instance. Oh, see, I hit PowerShell already just by accident. We can close out of there, but we can go to these drop-down menus, and you can see you can bring up PowerShell. You can bring up an old-fashioned DOS prompt. Yeah, this is Zor thing trying to sell you Microsoft services, and you can pull up, another Ubuntu terminal. This is a Ubuntu terminal. It's all updated. We can clear it now. Now, as a good measure, because I've just done so many upgrades, this is probably an optional step, but it certainly is not a bad idea. You can pull up Windows PowerShell, and you can type WSL space minus minus shutdown. And that's going to actually force Windows subsystem for Linux to shut down. You can see process exited. So we can just close out of that entirely. And then we can bring up Ubuntu again. See, it hasn't put it here, but if you want to, you can do all apps, start typing it, then pin it to start. And now you can see it's going to be available here. I pull it up and it's going to open full screen. I have my configuration settings to make it a very focused mode. It's taking a little longer than normal, but that's because it was a first-time boot after a shutdown. Now for the magic incantations. It is important to know that this trick with LXD, with Linux containers, isn't going to work without something called systemd running. You can check if systemd is running by typing ps space, minus minus, no hyphen, headers, space, hyphen, lowercase o, com, space 1. If it says init, it's on the old-fashioned system where things out of a special directory called init.d are actually what's running system daemons and stuff. But we need that to read systemd. Now, happily, there is a, I'll show you what we're about to use before we actually use it. There's something called distrod. And here it is on GitHub. And there's got some nice instructions here. Option 1, if it's a new distro, okay? And we're not into that. We are in option 2 because we already have a distro running. It's actually in here, right? This is the distro. We're going to make that word init read systemd, which will tell us it's actually running. We do that by, I'll make this bigger so you can see it, not so big that it gets rid of the line wrap. That's about the best compromise we can do. This is a curl command. Curl is built into pretty much all Linuxes and Unixes, and that's a command to just fetch something off of the internet. It just fetched it. If I do an ls, you'll see it put that install script there. That wasn't there before. Now I happen to know it's going to be a chmod plus x current directory install, and that makes it executable. Okay, yeah, I did it right. Okay, the dot / same thing, I was just pointed to it. And then sudo dot / install.sh with a parameter called install. Okay, so that is once again sudo dot / install space and a parameter install. Give it our password. Bam, it did something. Clear. Bring back our command line recall. Oh, it's probably not going to do it quite yet. We do this. It still says init. Notice that, right? Last step, we enable the service. We just put a service on our system. We're going to copy that. Now, there's another one here for start on Windows boot, but I have not had success on that. That's fine. It can start on WSL boot. Error needs permission. That's fine. We just throw a sudo in front of that. And we go back to this command. Init. Oh, it doesn't look good, right? So we exit. We bring up a terminal again. Oh, we don't. Yeah, we do have command line history. We bring up that command again. Systemd. Once you have that systemd word there, that means you're running systemd. So we are on, just as a reminder, lsb _ release -- all. We are on Ubuntu 18.04. We just got systemd running on it. We happen to be on the Windows subsystem for Linux, which I can show you here by doing that. This, even though it's full screen, is actually Windows Terminal, the unified Windows Terminal, from which you can run PowerShells and command prompts and other things. All right. And the last step here is going to be getting LXD with the LXC command set. I'm learning about it. LXC is both some of the underlying technology of LXD, and it's also a command line tool of a particular instance of LXD, the one we're about to install. So some of the new instructions will guide you to the Snap Store. It's premature. Going the Ubuntu 20.04 route for LXD using the Snap Store has many problems that are unresolved. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be on the bleeding edge. This is kind of the bleeding edge, but you don't want to bleed quite so much as you do on Ubuntu 20.04. So leave the fossa behind and come back to the beaver. So here on 18.04, Bionic Beaver, we are going to sudo apt. In fact, let me clear the screen. No, I leave it showing so you can see systemd 18.04 sudo apt install Lxd. Boom. Already, the newest version. It's already installed. Didn't need to install it. That's how incorporated into Ubuntu this is. It's what gave me the impression it's part of standard Linux. But truth is, we're using a Ubuntu Linux, which is from Canonical. Canonical is the project lead on LXD, so it only makes sense it's pre-installed. So, sudo lxd init. We're going to initialize LXD, and then you'll notice now I'm using the D in the command. In following commands, it's going to be C. It's only D when we initialize and do this setup stuff. I hit enter. It starts a wizard. Enter, 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 enter. And notice some of these important ones. Would you like to create a new local network bridge? We answered yes. Enter, 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 enter. Straight through the wizard, right to the end. No errors, no errors. The angels play their trumpets and the clouds part. Revel in this. This is no less than a miracle. All right, so we have LXD capable on our system. Now we're going to see whether we have any LXD systems. So this is kind of a before and after. LXC space list. Our inventory of LXC containers is none. There are none. So how do we fix that? We do it's going to be, I think, sudo. No, it's not. LXC launch images Ubuntu /18.04. And this is getting it from like a repository. U1804A. Okay? Enter. Dun dun dun! Now let's do the LXC list. Oh, well, what do you know? We have running right now, running in memory, this instance of Ubuntu 18.04. It's got an IP. It's bound to a network interface card, a NIC they call it. It's even got an IPv6. Persistent, anything you do on it stays. Well, wouldn't it be nice to log into that? Wouldn't it be nice to LXC execute U1804A, the command as super user called login as user Ubuntu, which it sets up automatically. Oh, no password entry for user login. I might have that wrong. Let's try with a no space. To run as administrator, root, use sudo. Oh, there we are. We're in. That's it. That was it. I just put an extra space before login. I got it right. Oh, I made one mistake in the video. And I even had it written correctly over on my notes. I was like, that looks like a mistake because there's not a space. There is a space before SU, but there's not a space here. I've got to learn what these parameters are on the Lxd command. See, this is API stuff. But see that? See that? That's different from Darphy at Oz. Darphy at Oz has now become Ubuntu at U1804A. That, my friends, is being logged into Lxd under Windows 11. This is not merely Windows 11 using the Windows subsystem for Linux, which you can grab a Ubuntu out of the web store. And if you want it to go as smoothly as I just showed you, got to stick to 18.04. There's multiple problems that happen on 20.04, trust me. And so do we have network? Sudo apt update. Hey, all packages are up to date. We can even try. It's not going to do anything, but sudo apt upgrade. The fact it can even check tells us we have network. This is network connectivity, ladies and gentlemen, under a Linux container running super, super efficiently. Okay, so if we were to exit out of that and then exit out of the host machine and go back here to Windows 11 and go about our business all day long, you wouldn't even know that you had not merely a full Linux system running, but a Linux system which is working as host to other Linux systems. You get into it just by going into there. If you're in the Linux quote host, right? But now you can do Lxc space list. The API is pretty easy here. And you can see which machines are running, which containers are running. And you want to get into it. You got to remember this command. I mean, it's going to take me a while. I'm probably going to create an alias, but bam, you're now in it. See your prompt change? And, let's exit out of it and let's create another. Now I'll give it a cute name. Normally I would just do B, but that doesn't seem differentiated enough. This is, Ubuntu. This is a beaver. Beaver 2. It's also a beaver. Creating beaver 2. Lxc list, and we got both of them running. Want to get into beaver 2? We go into that command that uses the name here. Yeah, there it is. Ubuntu at beaver 2. We now have exactly that image that I've been showing. I was thinking I was on my other machine. I was going to pull up the image of the different. I guess I can. I can do that by going in here to my website. It's a lot of my notes from us talking are in the blog. The unstoppability. Is it one of these pictures? No, I guess it wasn't one of these pictures. Fixing Jupyter Desktop. We had some talking, question and answer with the YouTube audience. It might have been one of these. Yeah, there it is. We have this going. We have this going, ladies and gentlemen. I actually have done exactly what you see here in this lower part. I have, I was looking for my stylus. I like doing the screen snapshots and stuff. I haven't even tried it on Windows 11 yet. Let's see. Can I register it? Nope, it did it over on my Windows 10 machine. Okay, I'm going to have to connect my stylus to my Windows 11 machine. But I did exactly what it says here. I can still do drawing, can I? No, it doesn't matter. It's in a web browser. What does it matter? But I did this was the one from the web store, right? This is the web store one. And then these are the instances of LXD that you can see here, right here. That's that and that's that. And we're right now inside of Beaver. Network connectivity. I tried doing pinging before in previous examples. It didn't work, but I can ping www.google.com. That tells us that we both have DNS services to get an IP, right? We know we have an IP because it's listing it here. Although we only have an IP, that's interesting. It's using IPv6 only on Beaver 2, which we're on right now. That's so interesting. So on this first one, we have a internal IP bound to ETH0, and on this other one, it's only IPv6. But at any rate, Control C, you can see we have network connectivity and DNS services and all the rest of it. So that's pretty darn awesome. Exit, we go back to host, clear, clear. And we could apt install. I mean, we could apt install stuff. I don't even know what we would do. At some point, I'll get graphics running. I'll do it like a Jupyter Lab desktop install with an apt install Jupyter Lab and have it pull up the same way I have it pull up under Windows and switch over. That'll be the beginning of the end for my using Windows once I have graphics Jupyter Lab desktop running under a LXD instance, because that'll be a completely portable dev environment or whatever. You get the idea. This is big for me, and we are now certainly in Oz. You are not in Kansas anymore. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of my live casts. Thumbs up the video. Comment on the video. I'm asking for comments more. You're not going to see a lot of people doing this. You're not going to see a lot of people documenting this as a solved problem. I'm one of the few. So express your gratitude. Follow along, and as soon as it's possible, under 20.04, I would say it's another animal. It's FASA, the FASA version. I will take you along on my journey, upgrading my Ubuntu version. Later.